Relieved that the mysterious container wasn't too heavy, he dragged it along the riverbank. Its light weight reassured him it couldn't possibly contain a body. But his relief was fleeting. As he pulled the cooler onto the shore, a crowd began to gather, their anxious whispers heightening the tension. He carefully peeled off the tape sealing the lid, his mind racing with possibilities. Finally, he lifted the hatch, and what he found inside would haunt him forever. The riverbank, usually a serene gathering spot for locals, was now the center of growing unease. The picturesque waterway, a popular place for relaxation, had drawn people to its banks for years. But until the man discovered the suspicious container, no one could have imagined the dark secret it held. Floating silently along the river, the ice cooler seemed harmless at first, a forgotten picnic item, perhaps. Yet the truth was far more unsettling. Spotting the cooler bobbing downstream, the man initially thought it was nothing out of the ordinary. Using his phone's camera to zoom in, he identified it as a cooler box and assumed it had accidentally fallen into the water. Curiosity got the better of him, though, and he decided to retrieve it. What harm could it do to fish it out? Surely it was just someone's lost belongings. Once the cooler was on shore, he began asking people nearby if it belonged to them. Picnic blankets dotted the riverbank, and children played in the water, but nobody claimed the box. Most hadn't even noticed it floating in the river. When he approached a pair of men swimming with their dog, they shook their heads and said it wasn't theirs. Still, their curiosity was piqued, and they joined the growing circle of onlookers eager to see what was inside. The man hesitated for a moment, glancing at the crowd before focusing back on the cooler. With trembling hands, he worked to undo the tape. The crowd fell silent, their anticipation palpable. Finally, the lid creaked open. What he saw froze him in place. This wasn't a misplaced picnic item or forgotten piece of junk. Its contents would leave an indelible mark, turning a peaceful day by the river into a scene of shock and horror. What if it's treasure? The cameraman speculated, his voice tinged with excitement. The idea sparked a flurry of guesses from the onlookers about what might be inside the mysterious cooler. But the question remained, who would swim out to retrieve it? The cameraman, lamenting his lack of swimwear, quickly nominated someone else. "I'd vote for this guy," he said, pointing to a man in blue swimming trunks. The chosen man sighed but had little choice as the crowd's attention turned to him. With the decision made, he reluctantly prepared to wade into the water. The cameraman, meanwhile, skipped a flat stone across the river, judging the distance to the cooler. "No need to rush," he assured the swimmer. "It doesn't look like it's going anywhere." The man in blue began wading into the river, the cold water lapping at his legs until he was hip-deep. Finally, he started paddling toward the floating container, his loyal dog splashing along behind him. It didn't take long before he reached the cooler, anticipation building with every stroke. "Float it over," the cameraman called, his voice cutting through the quiet buzz of excitement on the shore. The man gave the cooler a gentle push, guiding it toward the riverbank. "It's like Christmas," someone shouted from the crowd, their enthusiasm infectious. As the man pushed the container, it became clear that it wasn't particularly heavy, leading the onlookers to wonder aloud what could be inside. Once he reached the shore, however, the mood shifted. Dragging the cooler onto the bank, the man noticed something unusual. The container was tightly sealed with duct tape, suggesting that someone had deliberately prepared it for its watery journey. The realization added a layer of unease to the previously light-hearted atmosphere. The cameraman, now standing closer, recognized the brand and asked, "Does it have one of those hatches?" His curiosity spurred him forward as the man in blue carefully began peeling the tape from the cooler. The crowd edged nearer, their collective breath held as the tape slowly came away. With each strip removed, the mystery deepened. Neither the man in blue nor the cameraman could have anticipated what lay inside, or the chilling discovery that would soon leave everyone speechless. After peeling off the duct tape, the man cautiously lifted the hatch and peered inside. His reaction was immediate. He jumped back with a startled curse, shouting, "What they?" His eyes widened in a mix of fear and disbelief as he glanced toward the camera, his expression hinting at something truly unsettling inside. The cameraman, curious and concerned, pushed past the man to see for himself. As he leaned in for a closer look, he froze, his face twisting in shock. Then, as if his brain couldn't fully process what he had just seen, he staggered backward, cursing under his breath. For a moment, all he could register were small, eerie limbs. The sight was disturbing enough to send his imagination spiraling, but something about it seemed off. Gathering his nerve, he approached the cooler again for a second glance. This time, he let out an incredulous laugh, the kind that skirts the edge of hysteria. Inside the cooler lay a baby doll, its unsettlingly realistic features carefully arranged. The eerie discovery left the two men laughing nervously, their minds trying to reconcile the fright with the absurdity of the situation. As more onlookers approached, their reactions mirrored the initial shock, a mix of fear and unease that gave way to disbelief. "There's a body in there," one man joked, though his voice betrayed the lack of humor in his words. The doll's lifelike appearance had everyone on edge, but the creepiness didn't end there. Scrawled inside the cooler was a sinister message, its ominous tone deepening the mystery. "I'm shaking," the cameraman muttered under his breath, his earlier bravado fading. Not everyone was equally spooked, though. A few in the group tried to rationalize the bizarre find. What kind of person would do this? One man wondered aloud. Another chimed in, half-jokingly, "Maybe there's cocaine in there." They examined the doll closely, hoping to uncover some hidden purpose or secret compartment, but found nothing except the unsettling note inside the cooler. As more people gathered, one curious onlooker stepped forward, asking what all the fuss was about. The cameraman, seizing the opportunity, quickly shut the hatch and gestured for her to open it herself. She obliged, only to leap back with a startled curse. Her reaction echoed the others. A moment of raw fear, followed by indignation. "Who does something like this?" she exclaimed. "Only a truly disturbed person would pull a stunt like this." The mood began to lighten as the absurdity of the situation set in. "Well," the cameraman quipped, "someone's getting a free cooler out of this." Then, with a mischievous grin, he added, "Dibs on the doll." Despite the lingering unease, the group couldn't help but laugh at the sheer weirdness of it all, the sinister prank leaving them with a story they'd never forget. As more people gathered around to catch a glimpse of the mysterious cooler and its eerie contents, curiosity turned into a phenomenon. One person jokingly quoted, "Put that thing back where it came from, or so help me." Others speculated that the doll could be part of something more sinister. Theories ranged from an elaborate prank to the possibility that the cooler and its contents were tied to a darker mystery. Some were convinced it should have been left untouched, while others accused the cameraman of orchestrating the entire scenario as a setup. Did he plant the doll and take the cooler himself just to film this? One questioned, leaving the audience to decide for themselves. The video ended with a simple prompt: "What do you believe?" But the thrill of unearthing mysterious objects isn't limited to rivers. Hidden spaces have always captivated the human imagination, and few discoveries are as intriguing as finding something unexpected within the walls of your own home. For one woman, this fantasy became reality when she revisited her childhood home and stumbled upon something extraordinary and terrifying. Alexandra Poulos grew up in a charming colonial home that her parents had purchased in 1974. For years, the house was a backdrop for cherished family memories. Yet, as warm and inviting as the home appeared, it harbored an air of mystery. As a child, Alexandra was haunted by recurring dreams of hidden rooms and secret passages. Her vivid imagination painted a world of secret spaces waiting to be found, but her family brushed off her musings as the whims of a creative mind. Those dreams, however, never left her. Even as an adult, Alexandra couldn't shake the sense that there was more to her childhood home than met the eye. She often wondered about the meaning behind her dreams, scouring books and resources for answers, but found little to satisfy her curiosity. Years later, fate would intervene. Alexandra's mother fell gravely ill, and the family rallied around her, hoping for a swift recovery. But as her mother's health worsened, Alexandra felt a growing urgency to reconnect with her roots and the house she had once called home. During one visit, Alexandra noticed subtle anomalies she had never paid much attention to before: an oddly placed corner, a gap between walls that didn't quite make sense. Her childhood dreams of hidden rooms resurfaced with startling clarity. Determined to solve the puzzle once and for all, she began a meticulous search of the house, examining every nook and cranny. What Alexandra found changed everything. Behind an inconspicuous wall in the basement lay a hidden door. Her heart raced as she pried it open, revealing a long-forgotten space that had been sealed away for decades. At first, the discovery was exhilarating. Hidden doors and secret compartments are the stuff of childhood fantasies, and Alexandra felt as though her younger self had been vindicated. But her excitement quickly turned to unease as she stepped inside. The room was dark and unkempt, its walls covered in cryptic markings and strange symbols that sent chills down her spine. In the center of the room lay an assortment of objects: faded photographs, dusty books, and artifacts that hinted at a life she knew nothing about. Among the items was a journal, its yellowed pages filled with handwriting that was at once unfamiliar and eerily intimate. As Alexandra read through the journal, she uncovered a story that would append everything she thought she knew about her family and the home she grew up in. The journal detailed a secret life, one intertwined with the house's history and its previous occupants. The unsettling discoveries forced Alexandra to confront not only her family's past but also her own childhood dreams, which seemed less like fanciful imaginings and more like echoes of something long buried. While Alexandra initially approached the hidden room with curiosity, she left it with a deep sense of unease. The experience made her question how much we truly know about the places we inhabit and the stories they hold. Whether it's a mysterious cooler floating down a river or a secret room hidden in the walls of a home, such discoveries remind us of the layers of mystery that can exist in the most unexpected places. And as Alexandra learned, some truths are destined to stay hidden until the right moment brings them to light. As her mother's condition worsened, Alexandra and her family braced themselves for the inevitable. But life dealt an even harsher blow when, within a few short months, Alexandra lost not only her mother but also her brother. The double tragedy left the family shattered, their once close unit now fractured by loss. In the wake of these devastating events, Alexandra struggled to find solace. The colonial home where she had spent her childhood became her sanctuary, its walls holding memories that offered some measure of comfort. Yet, she had no inkling that the house harbored secrets of its own. Amid the grief, Alexandra leaned on her father, who remained her anchor. Together, they navigated the difficult days, their shared love and resilience keeping them afloat. But as the months passed, a new challenge arose. Her father's ability to manage the large colonial home was dwindling. Its upkeep proved too much for one person, especially as age began to take its toll. One afternoon, her father called Alexandra over for a heart-to-heart conversation. He confessed that the house had become unmanageable for him. With its size and upkeep demands, he felt it was time to sell. The news hit Alexandra hard. The thought of losing her cherished childhood home and the memories it held was almost too much to bear. Unwilling to part with the house, Alexandra quickly proposed an alternative. She suggested her father transfer ownership to her, allowing her to keep the property in the family. To her relief, her father agreed without hesitation. With that decision, Alexandra secured the home, ensuring it would remain part of their legacy. Excited by the prospect of preserving the house, Alexandra decided to rent it out. She soon found a family of tenants who seemed like the perfect fit. However, shortly after they moved in, strange occurrences began to plague the basement. It was almost as if the house itself resisted the new occupants. The mysterious occurrences in Alexandra's basement stirred a long-forgotten memory. She recalled her father dismissing a cryptic warning from a neighbor who claimed the house concealed something sinister deep in its foundation. Now, as strange events unfolded, Alexandra couldn't ignore the possibility that there was truth to his words. Determined to solve the mystery, Alexandra searched her basement and discovered a faint outline on the floor, an old hidden hatch. Enlisting professional builders to excavate, they uncovered a concealed room beneath the basement. Though sparse and unremarkable, its secrecy raised intriguing questions. Alexandra uncovered a hidden room in her basement, sparking curiosity about its purpose. A historian revealed Lansdowne's connection to the Underground Railroad, a secret network aiding enslaved individuals. A neighbor's similar discovery reinforced her belief that the room played a role in this cause. Sharing her story, Alexandra inspired others to explore and preserve their own hidden histories. Her find symbolizes the bravery of abolitionists and deepened her connection to her childhood home. Though proof remains elusive, she remains committed to uncovering the truth and honoring the legacy of freedom seekers.